Another episode of Turn to Your Neighbor. Today is called Counseling Ministry. So to just kick it off, our opening question is, what do you feel about Jesus in therapy? Like, love it, love it. I'm sure all of y'all love it. So just tell me a little bit about your thoughts.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Advocate for it all. Love therapy. Love Jesus. Put those two together. Amazing combination.
The Lord is wonderful. And he is a counselor. And he's a healer. Therapists or doctors. The math is mathing. Here for Jesus in therapy.
I think in today's world, it just has to go together. It's not no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's you have to have both because, like Demaria said, that's their profession, but also Jesus is who he is, of course. So it just goes together, like PB&J.
I like that.
Yeah, I definitely think just being in a place where you can go to therapy and then also have that background and being led by the Spirit and just feeling like, you know what, I can have somewhere to go and talk about what I'm going through and things like that, but I can also be available to prayer as well.
I think that they're the same. I know we're saying Jesus in therapy, but I think therapy is Jesus in a way, and Jesus is therapy in the sense that, like, when we have a relationship with Jesus, it is therapeutic. And when you engage in therapy, you get closer to Jesus. So they're one and the same.
I like that.
I like that too. I think too, when I like advocate for people that I know love to like go to therapy, I just remind them that therapists are graced for like that role in that job. So in the same way that we are graced to be teachers, graced to be doctors, like they are also doctors, but just grace for that. So God, places them with that desire in their hearts to like help people. And to kind of look at it like that.
And at the same time, I'm thinking about conversations I had back with my primary care doctor when I first started taking care of my mental health like more seriously. It's also good old general full disclosures when I got involved with therapy is when I started being on my SSRIs, is when I was like having to journal a whole lot and doing a lot of different things. And I remember my doctor specifically saying, he's like, I understand this is how you feel, but we're here necessarily to treat the symptoms of what you're going through until we can get to the root of the problem. And I think it's important when you're looking at it from if you're looking at it from a therapy angle, you're treating the symptoms that is like, okay, you're going through depression. You are depressed. You have a lot of anxiety. You're dealing with grief. You're dealing with these kind of issues. How can we help you to get through this point and otherwise give you the tools? Jesus, God, I've got a very serious problem right now. And my heart is overwhelmed, so lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Same deal. Because again, the name of the Lord is a strong tower where the righteous run in and they are safe. That's that therapeutic kind of experience right there. And that's then when you go for your spiritual harms. But being that we are both physical beings and spiritual beings, both of it, like just like you're saying, they go together. Because like Jesus, like care for my spirit, therapy help me with the symptoms that are plaguing my soul.
And I think with my clients, I even that's one of the first questions I ask, like, what is your spirituality? Where do you stand? And it doesn't really matter per se what they say, but I will say that those who mention Christianity really focus on a spiritual relationship with their God, because when you have something that you can look up towards and literally soar above your problems, it becomes a stabilizer for you. So I think that even as an intervention, using Christianity and using relationship with God is like chef's kiss.
I love how you said soar because it reminded me of my favorite verse, Isaiah 40:31. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They will mount upon wings as eagles. I like you. You're good people.
I like that conversation. And I think like all of you guys made such good points. And I'm curious, when did you realize that Jesus is enough and you needed more? Right? Like, when was the moment? How did you navigate those feelings of like, Jesus is all that I need and I need more. Like, I need someone to help me walk through these things. So I think we've all had that moment. And it might not end in therapy, right? Like, everybody's not in therapy, but you have a moment that's like, all right, I've been praying to God for a long time about this said thing, and I still feel the same way, and I still be crying, and I still be playing that same 4 seconds of that sad song over and over again, and it still ain't changed. So, like, what was that moment for you? And, like, how did you really navigate that and get also on the other side of that?
I'm not on my other side of that. I'm going to just be real. So, yeah, but what I do know is something I know. I know that God was, is, and will be. So it's something that I truly know in my heart because he's brought me through all these other trials and tribulations and everything. It's just currently I've never experienced what I'm going through. So in a nutshell, it's just like, all right, God, this is definitely all you, big dog, because I don't have it. I literally do not have it. Mind, body, soul, strength, none of that. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep living this life. But yeah, sometimes I'm not on the other side. It's something that stuck with me from a pastor I listened to. He was quoting Toni Morrison, I believe. Yeah, Toni Morrison. She was like, sometimes you don't come out whole, saying, oh, you don't look like what you going through. Sometimes you don't come out whole. And I'm like, yeah, hey, Lord, that's me. And I know I'm not whole, but I'm still here and I'm still okay. And I know I'm going to get through it. It's just when, if, how, don't know yet.
You will get through it.
Yeah.
I'm proof. I promise. My goodness, that was good.
Because remember, you have a 100% success rate of getting through all of your prior problems.
That is a word.
Yeah.
Every bad day.
Because if it was less than 100%, we would not be having this conversation. And being honest with all the rest of you, having been in those same kind of dark spaces, I'm grateful not only for God, but I'm also grateful for the therapeuticness of other people. Otherwise, I would not be having this conversation with you all.
Yeah.
That success rate did it for me. Woo! Jerry, I know you were about to say something.
No, I was gonna just go back to the initial point where, Taya just said that when you feel like you don't have anything else to do but go to God. And I feel like that's what kind of brought me to being in therapy and also seeking therapy, was where I felt like I hit rock bottom, and in my mind I was like, yep, that's it. Like, there's nothing I can physically do. There's no amount of money, there's no amount of power that I have. There's nobody who can help me other than him. And then just being able to rely on him as a full source, and then just being around where he's going to provide those people to be in my life and come in my life and help me, which was a therapist for me. So it just kind of provided me with those, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom. Sometimes you got to understand that you don't have the power. What you have is only because of him and what he can do. So you just got to keep going and really trust in him and trust for those people that he graces with just coming into your life.
Yeah. I think what I heard you say is recognizing where your ability ends. Where you stop being strong is exactly where God can start taking over. And I think, to be fair, if we recognize our weakness a little bit sooner, we probably can get help a little bit faster.
Well, that was good.
I wasn't meaning it to come off that way. Because it's all
no, we need to hear that.
Because I can definitely say for me that you know me. I'm very much strong-willed in my own strength. Sydney, you know me. I'm very strong-willed in my own strength. For me, it was my rock bottom moment where I was like, God, I can't do anything else. Show up and help. Help me, nigga. Help me.
That's crazy.
No,
man. That's exactly how you feeling.
100%. Like, last year was the craziest year for me. And that was where I was. Like, I'm in my apartment, like, oh my God. Like, if you don't help, like, I can't. I don't know. I am not okay. And even saying that, y'all, like saying I am not okay. I'm always okay. I always know what I'm doing. I have a plan. Last year, every plan that I had ever like created, romanticized in my mind about my career, about my love life, everything, it was like, nope, 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 no, 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 no. Yeah, come on now. So I was just like broken, essentially. And so honestly, what y'all see today is proof, grace, favor, mercy, all the things. But going back to the original question, therapy, I knew that I needed therapy when, like you said, I didn't have anything else. And I was like, well, what can help? What do they say helps? Aside from exercise, aside from reading your Bible, aside from leaning on your people, your community. Yeah, therapy was it. I love my girl, my therapist, that is. She's so sweet. Love her.
I call my therapist my girl too, so it's okay. That's my dog.
Yes.
I like when you call us that.
Yeah. That's my dog. My therapy sessions are comedy because that's my dog. I loved all of that. And I think like what I really heard is like also like being honest. Like you have to be honest with yourself, right? Like you have to really, and I think we all hate being vulnerable. And on the other side of like vulnerability is like you being whole. And I think wholeness doesn't always mean like where you came from, right? Like whole can look different where you are today versus where you are yesterday, right? Like, but in all of that, you're still whole, right? Like wholeness comes through God. God has already made you whole. What you feel like you might be missing does not mean that you're not whole as you are. It just means that God is showing you wholeness in a new light. Because we are so used to whole looking a certain way and being whole and holy and all those things, but recognizing like there's so many ebbs and flows in life, right? Like the whole and the holy that I was a couple years ago is really not who I am today, partially because I be putting in work. And by work, I schedule my therapy session. I pay her so that she helps me. And then I'm supposed to go home and do my homework. And sometimes I miss it, but that's okay. It still works out well. Grace, hello, hallelujah. So I really want to ask you, like, what's the best thing that your therapist ever told you? Or like a fun thing, like something that your therapist said that's like, that's good. And there's probably a million. So just pick one. It doesn't have to be the best. Just one thing.
I got two because I was going through my EAP. Also, for everybody else that's watching, if you need to therapist shop and your job provides therapies work through your EAP, use that and cross-reference it with your own network so you can be able to continue your care as you need to. I'm a little upset because the therapist I had is no longer in my Kepro network, so I got to do somebody different. It's cool. We're going to work it out. But my first therapist, Kim, the one thing that she told me was, she was like, Demarius, the boundary between you and your happiness is expectation. And the only way through that is to accept that there is no need for expectation. I sat there quiet in my office because I was doing telehealth for about a solid like 30 minutes. Don't nobody bother me, please. Like I'm sitting here doing some soul searching. My second therapist, Jonathan, we were talking about armor and safety because I was going in there to talk about like my anxiety and my depression and what my relationship with my anxiety and my depression is. And sitting there talking, I'm like, hey, John, I just want to make sure that I otherwise feel safe and I don't like being without my armor. And he very looked at me dead in my face and said, do you wear your armor to protect yourself from other people or to protect yourself from you? Punched me right in my chest. And then he said, he's like, so what I want you to do now over the next week is I want you to think about what does your armor look like? What is your relationship with it? And do you think that is necessary? Because sometimes we have to have our own armor, but it may change depending upon what kind of situation you're in. And when I drove home that day, and then I sat in my car for 2 hours because I was like, because I was sitting with that for the whole day. Like, what is my relationship with my armor? And in realizing that I didn't need it, I literally felt like a shoulder plate just fall off. I felt like, it's my breastplate loose. I'm like, I don't need this. And I don't need this. And I literally felt myself like come out of the shell that was my armor. So the brightness that y'all have seen over these past 2 years is a lot of that work. So yeah, I'm grateful for that therapy. I'm also grateful for God to be like, hey fam, here's your source. Here's your help. I am the source, but here's your help.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that got me. I am the source, but here's your help.
Good.
Yeah.
Real good.
Mine are two short things. It's something that I took away and something that I appreciated. My outside therapist, the first session we had, because I had to tell my story within a year and a half, at least 4 times. So with a new therapist, first time meeting, she immediately went on mute. She just went on mute and she just let me talk. And my last therapist that I've had in the past, they would keep their mic on, but she would still let me know that she's listening, she's engaged, and I appreciated that. But then my EAP therapist, he made me realize that grief can look like 20 million things. And I realized that I was grieving what used to be. And it used to be a very happy environment. It used to be a very easygoing, everybody's friendly, everybody can, be open and honest with each other. Now it's very tight and walking on eggshells. And if y'all ever took the DISC assessment, my work pattern has changed. I think I'm still compliant, but I'm not like an I. I'm not like, oh, yeah, because of my environment. I'm more so like steadiness, like, all right, what's the procedure? What's the policy? Can we do it now? And can we get on up out of here? Because I no longer feel safe. And it causes me to go into a shell. But anyway, the thing that I took away from my EAP therapist, he was just saying, grief can look like 20 million different things. And right now you're going through a grieving season of what used to be. So that's what I've been working through and trying to evaluate, how do I get through this, knowing what I know and taking these tools and not taking it as a loss, but as just another lesson.
That's real deep. For me, I would have to say it was that you are deserving. And for me to hear that, because I feel like you can get down on yourself so much. And then me being, I am a therapist, so me trying to navigate and help others has been so challenging because I have that, what's it called? The imposter syndrome. And it's like, am I even supposed to be doing this? Am I even good? Or, when you start hearing stuff, you're like, dang, I don't know what I'm supposed to say or anything like that. And then she kind of let me understand that you got to give yourself some grace and that this does not happen overnight and that you are deserving. Like, you have to remind yourself of that and that things are going to happen in accordance to his will and that you are on the breach of greatness. Every time you wake up, you're on the breach of greatness. You're there, but it's not going to happen as fast as you would like it to. And I'm a person who's kind of impulsive. I'm like, nah, I need it now. But it kind of made me feel a lot better when I heard you are deserving. And that's just that was it for me. Like, I was like, you ain't even got to, hey, we don't got to finish this hour right here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you are deserving. You are deserving because I did not give myself grace. I keep asking God to forgive me and give me grace and asking for all these, stimulations and all this. But like for myself, I'm so hard on myself. So just saying, like, sometimes I have to remind myself, you are deserving is okay. It's all right. You know what I'm saying?
So one thing for me, this is going to be funny, but like I actually told my therapist this, like, so I gave her a word. And it was one day, it was a really heavy session for me. And I was just sad and broken and just hurt, honestly. And so at the end of the session, I sat there and I was like, healing is heavy, but I'm worth it. And she stopped and she was like, yes, Keandria, you are. She's like, I'm going to write that down because I want to use your own words on you when you feel the way that you felt today. She was like, you are going through one of the roughest seasons of your life to date from, the time that we've been working together, but you are worth it because you're here. And so now I use that for myself. Healing is heavy, but I'm worth it. When I feel like I don't know, it's like, it's okay not to know. It's okay to be lost, but you're worth it. So continue to do the work and don't give up.
I love that. For me, it's two things. One, she worked on my relationship with success. And so I was unable to relish in my accomplishments because I was always looking for the next, moving the goalposts. And so I was never satisfied because the finish line was always moving out. And so it goes from graduating college to getting this job to doing masters to doing this. And it's like, I'm never happy because my expectations are constantly changing. And so recognizing that I'm the reason why I'm not satisfied. That was the first thing. The second thing was the relationship between control and my anxiety. So I was anxious because
Girl.
I was anxious because I didn't have control of the situations I wanted to or the people that I wanted to. So when I didn't get the reactions that I wanted, that caused me to be anxious. If I didn't get the call, if I didn't get the text, if I didn't get the hangout, if I didn't get this or that, I'm now anxious about our relationship, insecure about it because I wanted to control what you did or how you reacted with me. Same thing with controlling situations at work or in family. Like when I didn't see what I wanted to see, that's where anxiety came up. And I think for me, it was sitting with that because I'm like, oh, I'm not controlling. Like, do you be free? But in a way that I am because I want to feel a certain way. And I was afraid of the feeling I would have if I didn't get what I wanted.
Get off my block. Like it's like you're parked outside my house right now, and I don't appreciate that. I just met you maybe 15 minutes ago. No, thank you, but get off my block.
I'll try.
I think relinquishing control is a big thing for a lot of us, though, y'all. Like just letting go. But I think also let's talk about once you relinquish the control but also start saying no. Like when you start saying no and you start just setting a boundary of no, I'm not doing that. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to say. That's not how I want to live. That's not how I want to show up. Or that's not how I need to show up in this season for myself. And we can also talk about we can wait on that part. But yeah.
I love that. I love that because saying no was so hard for me. I'd be like, I guess so. So even to the point of saying perhaps. I don't learn how to say perhaps. Maybe. We'll see.
I just say no.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say no. It's still hard for me to say no. It's so struggling. I'd be like, perhaps, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Once you graduate to no, it's a whole nother feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah. I said no once and it felt so good, but I had to go do it still. But I was like, it was to pick up my niece. So I was like, no.
But it felt good, though. But it felt good.
Yeah.
You cannot leave the baby in gymnastics.
I got it, though. But it was like, it was no at first. But it's like, I am on the exit.
At least you did go pick up your niece. We appreciate the no. We appreciate the no.
Right. Good job.
It's something you said earlier that the person you were back then is definitely not the person you are now. And that happened because I start telling myself no. Hey sis, sit down. Hey sis, don't send that text. Hey sis, you ain't gotta go out there today. Okay. Literally having that self-talk helps me. So the no started with me. And I'm not gonna say back then Tay was fun. I ain't gonna hold you. But at the same time, she could not make it through the season that she's going through now if she would not have told herself no. And so I think that is where I started the whole no with myself. And then what did not match where I wanted to go, I started telling people, hey dog, not today. Yep. Gonna catch this nap. Yep. I'm gonna save this money. Yep. I'm just gonna sit down because I pay bills. and I'm going to enjoy them. So, and it's just starting to make, smarter decisions because, like you say, like I said, you have this thought in your head of where you want to be and what you want to accomplish in whatever time frame that is. And then that's where God get to laughing. And then I'm just like, all right, cool. Ha ha ha. So,
hell.
Wait, no, something you said though. I heard when you were talking, I heard we have to tell ourselves no after God already said no. Like when God says no, we still tell ourselves yes.
Jesus.
And we need to say no when he said it first.
Jesus.
So like self-control.
Jesus.
Okay. Isn't that a fruit of the spirit?
It is.
I'm weak how you just put that in there. It is a fruit. It's the one that I struggle with.
Yeah.
But one thing that you said, Sydney, also about wholeness, because I think about this a lot. How we think about the people that we were at one point in time or whatever, whether it's like good, bad, and different, or like you're trying to let's get back to something. I was talking with one of my best friends, Chandler Carey. She now lives in Iowa with her husband and a baby. Hey, Chandler. And for some reason in the conversation, we just randomly started talking about time travel. And she was just like, there's a theory that time travel, that there's like a hypothesis or whatever, maybe that time travel is impossible because if no matter if you go forward or backward, there's already a version of you that's already there. I mean, you can't occupy that space in the future because you're already there, or you can't go back to that space in your past because you're already there. And you can't go to where you haven't been at any given point in time. So she's like, so really, all that you have been and all that you will be is all that you are. Meaning that you've always been where you needed to be at any kind of given moment. So when taking a look at what wholeness is like, wholeness also looks like recognizing that I'll talk about me right here. Me, Demarius, the Demarius that I was, the Demarius that I have been, the Demarius that I am, the Demarius that I am becoming, and the Demarius that I will be is on me. And it's good for the plot. Because the fact of the matter is the character that I've had to be in each different space had to serve a different role. And there was a different part of the story that Demarius had to fulfill. So as of right now, my wholeness for me is accepting all of me and all that I've otherwise had to be, otherwise that I know that I will be. That's both my accomplishments, that's my mistakes, the things I love about myself, things I don't like, because I'm here. And I'm right here in the palm, written on the palm. My walls are ever before the Lord. He doesn't forget me.
I feel like that's a big part of therapy, though. Getting that old acceptance.
Yeah.
And not really acceptance can go for a lot of situations. I think once we reach acceptance, we meet peace.
Yes, you're correct. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay.
Who's writing down these quotables?
Luckily.
I have a question though. How is it meeting the new you though? Because that's so.
That's a question.
Hell, it has been scary as hell. Like
that's true.
Because
go ahead.
So okay, I had a question, but now that was good. So like, what do you guys think about like just being okay with accepting that new person and like understanding the nuances of that new or like new you, or like how you show up? Like, I don't know how to formulate that, but that was yeah.
How do you meet the new you? That's what you're asking. How do you meet the new you? What does that process look like for you?
And accepting who that new you is. And I think I'm answering the question. Sorry, guys. I also have a mic. Is that like that all that you are piece of it is just like so relevant even in that question, because I think you is you, right? Like the only person that has a hard time with you is you, right? Like you have a hard time with you. God has already gone before, he behind, he around. We have the problem with ourselves, right? Like God loving all that we are, all that we were yesterday. The person who doesn't love all that we are yesterday is typically us, right? The person that's scared about all that we will be tomorrow, us, right? Like God is already there and will be there when you get there, right? Like God is with you now, and also God is there and will be there by the time you get there, right? Like it all kind of works together for the culmination of it all kind of works together for the good. So like meeting you is scary as hell, to Damaria's point. I think like being who you are is scary sometimes. It also has such a mantle, right? Like God chose me. God chooses all of us. You and you and you and you. But like also you get to choose you.
Yeah.
And if you choose you, God has already done it. So
that's it.
Show up for the plate.
Because this assignment is heavy. I ain't gonna hold you. I look like when you look yourself in the mirror, like you do your morning routine, but if you ever just look at yourself, you look yourself in the eye. And recently I have met the new me. I would say the current me. I wouldn't call her new because she was always there. But like I'm fighting right now. Like I am literally at war. And I'm fine with that. I am. But I'm not a confrontational person either. So I know myself and I know that, all right, God, I did my part. Right. And we just got off to this fast, about to go into Lent season. All right, God, it's going to have to be me and you because I feel I did my part. I feel I don't have it in me to go so hard, but I know you can.
Yeah.
And I know you will. And I know you will fight my battles as you did before. And so, because the enemy shows up in so many different ways and many people, all of that. And so what does currently hurt my feelings about the new or current person that I am, I can't do nothing about people blocking their own blessings. That's not for me to fight. But at the same time, that is a part of the battle because it's just like you could be in the kingdom and you choose to like not be here. That's very disheartening for me. So
you could choose to be in the kingdom and yet
you stay in the elephant.
Hell. Hell.
That's really how I feel.
I hate the view. I heard it's hot. I don't know.
To answer your question though, because I think for me, meeting my new self or my healed self meant also having forgiveness that I didn't meet her sooner.
Yeah.
Because I was upset at the things that I did that prevented me from having this earlier, but giving myself grace for the past version of myself that couldn't do it at the time. But now I can, and now I'm here and being okay with that.
So like, I want to reiterate what you just said. Like giving myself grace for how I handled a situation in what I knew at the time, like with what I knew at the time, the tools I had at the time.
Best.
Right. There we go. I did my best for what I knew. Yeah. Okay. Following. Good. That's the thing. I think, yeah, that's something that you have to accept, like who you were then and how you handled the situation then. You only use the tools that you had at that time. And so now that I have grown, I am using tools that I am learning, but I didn't have those back then. And I think for me personally, that is a word because there have been so many situations that I've faced recently that I didn't know how to handle them in the way that maybe I could have now. So giving myself grace again.
Grace and kindness. Again, I need to get back over to Mainspring. Mainspring needs to be where I need to be at because both of those therapists they have a kindness model with their practice, and literally they were like, it's okay. They're like every single session, like Damarius, what would kindness say to you today? What would kindness say to your situation? What would kindness say to your mistakes? What would kindness say to the person that you otherwise have to be? And we think about someone who is kind, it's honest, but it's not harmful. And for me, meeting the new me was very, very scary, especially 2021 and 2022. 2023, we was outside. But a lot of that was me looking myself in the mirror every day, multiple times a day, whenever I otherwise see my reflection And a regular practice I have is I give myself some kind of a compliment. And that compliment may not always necessarily be just like, hey, you know, your hair's popping today, fam. It looks real good. Like, it's like, you know what? This is a nice earring combination. But a lot of times, like now I'm looking at myself in the mirrors. I'm just like, hey, Demarius, I appreciate how you handled that situation yesterday. It's like, hey, friend, you weren't so hard on yourself this morning because of X, Y, and Z. You stood your ground yesterday. You did this one thing, and I'm proud of you. And it's something I always consider, like, it's like, and I always tell myself, like, Demarius, I love you. So that we then, no matter what person I wake up as the next day, it's all me. Just a new form. It's like what was that? Who was it? Not my final form. Frieza, Dragon Ball Z. He's like, this isn't even my final form, because our final form is not going to be until we get beyond the stars. Therefore, all that we are and all that we've been and all that, like, it's just peeling back the layers of you.
All of me is good for the plot. I'm telling you.
I think that's really deep. And I kind of want to tie in what you both guys were saying just about, you know, and I never looked at it at that perspective, because when you meet the new you and you look at the past, you can become angry, but you're not understanding that you had to be that way because of the tools that you had, because of you didn't know what you know now. And I think sometimes we look at our past self from the lens that we have now, and we like, ugh, I wouldn't have did that, or no, like that. You know what I'm saying? And like now it's like, you got to give yourself some grace, and you got to give yourself, you know, you have to talk to yourself and say, hey, like, I know that's how we were in the past and everything like that, but over here, come on now. Just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just those situations. Like, if you knew who you are now, you wouldn't even be complaining. You know what I'm saying? If you know what he's going to do in the future, you wouldn't even be crying about, you know what I'm saying, what you crying about right now. So you good. And that's a hard thing for me to do, though, is give myself, my past self, grace, and give myself like, all right, yeah, you made those mistakes. It's okay.
You know what, though? Because hindsight is 20/20, but hindsight's also biased. You know, like, you're looking at it from what you know today. Like, it's literally a lens of bias. So any, like, true feelings or thoughts that you have about the past, like, it's biased.
And it's biased from the perspective that you presently hold.
Mm-hmm.
Because your perspective could very well change in the next like 30 days. And then you could be looking at yourself in 2020, like, yeah, that assessment I did it right that first time around. Me thinking I did something different wrong. But again, yeah, that lens of bias.
Y'all,
we writing a book soon.
everybody take a couple pages. 3 pages per person. We all sign the cover. No, but I so enjoyed this conversation. Like, it was just fruitful, and I think it like also shows like how therapy is good. Like, it's so good. Like, God is good, but therapy is also really good. And I think this conversation was just amazing. So thank y'all. And I think that is a